At some point, you had a dream. Not a small one, not something safe, something bigger than your life, something that made you feel alive. Maybe it came to you when you were younger, when everything still felt possible, when the world wasn't something you had to survive, but something you could shape. You told yourself, "This is who I'm going to become," and for a while, you believed it. But dreams don't disappear all at once. They don't break. They don't collapse. They fade quietly. It starts small. You get a little older. Life gets a little heavier. People begin to expect things from you. Be responsible. Be realistic. Be practical. And slowly, those words begin to sound like truth. You tell yourself, "I'll come back to it later. After things settle down, after life becomes easier." But life doesn't settle, it doesn't pause and wait for you to remember who you wanted to be. It keeps moving, faster and faster. Days turn into routines, routines turn into years. You wake up, you work, you go home, and somewhere in between, you forget. Not all at once, just gradually. The dream that once kept you awake at night becomes something you barely think about. Not because it stopped mattering, but because something else started to matter more. Survival. You start choosing stability over risk, comfort over uncertainty. Not because you're weak, but because life is demanding. There are bills, expectations, people who depend on you. And suddenly, your dream feels selfish, like something you can't afford to hold on to anymore. So you let it go, not dramatically, not with a decision, but with silence. You stop talking about it, you stop planning for it, you stop seeing it as possible. And one day, you realize something strange. You're no longer chasing anything, you're just maintaining, keeping things together, holding life in place. From the outside, it looks like you're doing fine. You're responsible, stable, reliable. But inside, there's a quiet question you try not to think about. What happened to the person I was becoming? And sometimes it hits you in the middle of the night, in a quiet moment, in between everything. A memory, a version of you that believed in something more. And for a second, you feel it again. That feeling, that pull, that possibility. But it fades quickly because now there's too much to lose. Too much responsibility. Too much risk. Too much reality. So you push it away again, and life continues. But here's the truth no one really talks about. Most people don't fail their dreams. They don't lose them in some big dramatic way. They slowly trade them for comfort, for safety, for survival. And over time, they forget they ever made that trade until one day they look back and realize they didn't become who they thought they would. Not because they couldn't, but because somewhere along the way, they stopped trying. Not out of fear, not out of weakness, but out of adaptation. They adjusted to life. They became what life needed them to be, and in doing so, they left something behind, something quiet, something important, something that once defined them, their dream. So, the question isn't whether you had one. You did. The question is, do you still remember it, or did you quietly abandon it? Pause, let it breathe. And if you did, was it really your choice or just something that slowly happened while you were busy surviving?